Chapter 6. Blessing in Disguise. He dressed up very fast, then entered Toyota Camry GL and started the engine. He checked whether there was nothing mine inside, then looked at his face in the mirror. He got a bottle of water from the passenger's seat, washed the face and mouth. He felt fresh a bit and drove to the main road. Within 9 minutes, he parked outside the apartment and entered. He had forgotten the cell phone on the bed. He locked the door, then aimlessly ran to the streets from where he used a city taxi, which dropped him at the bank. He was so moody that he never noticed the opening time. He pushed the door only to find the cleaners dancing. It was too early. He checked on the clock that read 7:15 a.m. One of the cleaners asked if he was sober. Eyes had swollen. He had drunk the whole night. All laughed at him at once as he moved out. He wondered why she sent him a message that morning and went through the messages. He scrolled to a verse that read, "Come and pick me." Excitement pushed his teeth out as he called. She never picked. He waited outside the bank as it clocked 8 a.m. A brand new red Golf parked on the other side of the road. He saw a woman's head with pigtail hairstyle raising. His heart regained the other warmth he had taken months minus feeling. Ava stepped out gently in her uniform. She waited for the man who joined her, and they walked towards the door. Aro saw the gent happily holding Ava's hand and swallowed saliva. He keenly realized that co-workers knew the gent abnormally. They greeted him with much respect as he entered, leaving poor Arthur outside. He called her in vain and wondered why she had texted him. As soon as the man left, Aro entered ruthlessly and confronted the woman, who seemed relaxed. She remained still and reminded him of the last vow between the two. However, Aro excused himself and accused her for breaking it with a text. He spoke that he had kept it at heart amidst unbearable pain. She instead pointed at the door with an excuse that the message went to Cassius Modric, not Aro Z. He walked away with ease, leaving Ava perusing through the files on her table. She later concentrated on the drunkard's words and picked her phone. She scrolled downwards and saw through her outbox. She dropped the phone and combed her hair backwards with the fingers. She felt guilty. She had chased him out of her life and never thought that this number thrived among her contacts. Ava reckoned on how to kill the monster for good, having awakened it unintentionally. She used an emergency door and met him outside. Aro was in a very bad state with overgrown beards. Gabs looked like rags rescued from a mouth of a cow. It seemed he had spent a fortnight minus showering. Ava feared nearing him. She spoke from a distance. It was meant for Cassius. He came before it reached. Yeah, that is it. Aro's eyes turned hot red. He was happy that she had conceded. Emotions drove him crazy. His sweat said, "You're so beautiful," and broke in tears. He hurriedly walked away to the nearby wall as he hid his face. No one knew why he sobbed. Ava failed to understand why a man of Aro's stature cried like a kid because of love. This was so astonishing. She thought that maybe it was the cheap necklace he donated her that made him weep while reckoning on the number of gifts in her store from men. They were uncountable. She could not recognize Aro's. She went back while contemplating. Ava finally came up with an idea. She sent Arrow a message requesting him to meet her in the evening after work at Cafe Horizon. This created him time to clean his body quite well. He ironed and asked me to drop him there an hour earlier. He never told me about the person he was going to see, for he knew I would not allow. At the end of a corner, he perched with an elevated neck, facing the entrance, doubtful of her coming. Hours passed. Ava was nowhere to be seen. He called numerous times, hopefully she would pick. She never. He regretted why he dumped Brenda, for she would have come at the time he wanted. Hope sprang eternal. He waited for another hour. Ava was not coming. The person who promised to see him at 6 p.m. came at 9:29 p.m. Arrow saw her exhausted and ran to help her walk. She wore a happy face as she cast eyes at him. No, she was smiling at another man behind Arrow. He gave her a tight hug as the two walked to the table next Arrow's. She signaled to him to wait. Arrow patiently waited as the two talked. The man gave in an envelope as he picked her. She escorted him to his car and came back. He looked at her and admitted that the Creator molded a woman differently. He spoke as usual. You are so beautiful. She smiled and got a seat. Ava, you always say it. Arrow, it is true. Ava, I know. Well, I checked for your necklace, but it seems it got lost. Take this money. Arrow, what? Ava, I want you to forget me completely. In addition, stop crying like a puppy. Man up. Arrow, presents are non-refundable. It's not about money, but you. I want you. Ava, you will not handle. Got someone to see. Good night. Arrow, I love you. Yes, I discovered it that I do. Deny, run, hide, but always remember it. Ava stood as if she was listening to a car horn in her ears. She felt every pore on her skin opening miraculously to allow the magnitude of every word enter deep inside her. She felt the world down as she stood to leave. She could not look at him any further, for shyness conquered her in minutes in the due course. She had just met Cassius and done everything with him, but he was not feeling like this. She gathered some energy and left him seated as he threw his phrase, "You are so beautiful." As soon as she negotiated the corner outside the cafe, her cell phone buzzed. She had a plot with another man who had been waiting for her. Arrow asked himself why the gods had chosen him, such a cheap woman. He had no idea that many women of Ava's genre existed, and some were even worse. He wiped the tears and walked away as I drove to pick him. He walked and watched Ava enter a black Subaru that drove slowly towards Peak Courts. It did not take me long. I was on time. He directed me to the Peak Courts, where we saw no traces of the car. We drove to the nearby apartment. There was a house party inside. We did not enter, for we never had the pass code. Did we know it either? Looking around, the Subaru was not in place. He began panicking as I pestered for the name of the woman he was stalking. I saw him losing patience, and I got the taxi, which took me home. After all, my only queen was already missing me. She was happy to see me. Arrow toured the whole city, searching for Ava until he went back to Cafe Horizon, from where He took a couple of illicit liquor bottles smuggled from Kong as his head cleared. He never believed Ava was with someone else that night. He ordered for more bottles as he sang his fake songs. Suddenly, he saw a pretty woman who dressed like Ava entering with her husband, and he thought she was the one. He staggered to the couple and hugged the woman happily, then pecked her around the neck. He felt a heavy punch hitting his head as he fell on the nearby chairs, crying Ava's name. Ava! Ava! The man got Arrow by the neck and boxed his little chest. My little brother cried like a fall thief being pummeled. Suddenly, a voice emanated from behind the crowd that had gathered to witness a man fighting for his wife's pride. It ordered him to stop. Hava had come. She walked towards them as Arrow called her name. He was crying, "You are so beautiful."